Hello everyone! Hi guys. Oh my gosh, it's been a hot minute. I'm like actually a little shook right now. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm making a YouTube video right now. Like I cannot believe I'm sitting here and filming this. I just feel as if I have been wanting to film YouTube for a really long time, but it's just been so hard with TikTok and Instagram and all my focus is being on those platforms. I just have not had the bandwidth to get back on here. But you know what? I realized that I need to get back on here because I have some things to say. I was a little nervous about being back on here, by the way. So I was like, let's just rip the bandit off and just film. So if I'm a little rusty, I apologize. So today I'm going to be talking about my perioral dermatitis journey. As you guys know, if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, that I struggled with this facial rash called perioral dermatitis. Actually, it was one of the reasons I stopped doing YouTube because I was just so insecure when I had it that I just did not want to be on camera in general. So that's how I lost my YouTube flow. After dealing with it for such a long time and learning my skin as well as more about this facial rash in general, I really wanted to sit down and talk about it, just about my journey as well as what I did and what worked for me and what didn't work for me. I know a lot of females who experience this, they feel really alone, and I totally get it. My PD also just did not look like the photos I saw on Google, and whenever I YouTubed it, I also just did not see people struggling with the same thing. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make my own YouTube video and I'm gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna say that I saw all the videos, but many of them just talked about skincare, but I truly believe that this goes way beyond your skincare and you really need to take a holistic, well-rounded approach to get rid of it for good. I have my matcha latte and then I have my little post-it notes so I don't forget every topic I want to cover, and let's just roll into it. Perioral dermatitis is basically a rash that you get on your face. Perioral just means around the mouth area, and then dermatitis means rash. A lot of people confuse it for eczema, which it is actually very, very different from. Perioral dermatitis can also be around your nose, it can be around the mouth area, it can be around the eyes. Some people say it spares the lips, but I personally think like that's false because mine was on my lips as well. So there's that. Dermatologists say the cause is unknown, but I believe there are certain reasons that this manifests. So that's the summary of what PD actually is. Now, in terms of how it happened for me. So my journey was that one day I woke up and I was like, my lips feel a little weird. Like I had these little cuts at the corners of my lips and I've never had that before, and I was like, this is kind of uncomfortable. But obviously, as somebody who's never really dealt with it, I just kept on going with my days until, 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, this is kind of starting to bother me, like I put Vaseline on and it's not helping. I was like, maybe I should like look it up or something. So I looked it up and then everybody's like, oh, it's called angular cheilitis and you need to put an antifungal on it or something. And I was like, oh, okay, problem solved. So I go to Amazon and get an antifungal. Actually, that was my biggest mistake. But anyway, I get the antifungal cream and instead of just applying it to the corners, guys, I smeared it all over. I don't know why I did that, but I remember distinctly, I was just like, let me just smear it. I woke up the next morning and the cuts were still there. And now I had this weird redness around my lips as well. It looked like I had put on red lipstick and just like kind of went like that. It was not cute. So that was my first mistake. So now not only did I have those cuts, I also had this like red like ring-ish situation around my mouth. Back then I also used to go into work in person, so obviously it was not fun for me to like show up, and I work in fashion, show up to the office and attend my meetings with like clown lips. Also, if you look at my videos like from back in the day, you can kind of still see a faint hint of that redness. Anyway, so I started freaking out because I was like, okay, now I have this red thing and it's not going away no matter how many moisturizers I use or how much I Google. So then I went back to trusty Amazon. I didn't even write as like red lips or lip rash or something. I wrote something like that. And one of the first recommendations that came up was Dr. Danz's Cordy Balm, which is like a lip balm. So I was like, okay, and it had a lot of reviews, and I looked to the reviews and I saw a photo of a girl who had the same situation as me, and then like it was like a before and after photo basically, and I saw that and I was like, wait, that's me, so this product is for me. Little did I know that it had cortisol in it, which is basically a steroid, and steroids and PD they do not mesh. Got it anyway because I was like desperate, and you know, like back then, what did I know? However, there was one review where I remember seeing that review, but I kind of like saw it and I was like, whatever. But she was like, you should not use this for a long period of time. So I still kept that in the back of my head because I was like, okay, clearly this, whatever this is not supposed to be used long term. However, when I used it, oh my gosh, like magic, the next morning I woke up, everything was normal. Literally, it was like rash hoop, like nothing was there. I was like, amazing. So then I just decided that I'm not gonna use it anymore because obviously the problem was gone. I didn't use it, the next morning it came back. And that cycle continued for about a month, where I would use it, it would go away, but if I didn't use it even for a day, it would come back. In my opinion, it would be a little redder. So I was like, this is not good, this is not good. So then finally I decided I should probably see a doctor about this. I had before this never gone to a dermatologist, so I was a little nervous, but at the same time I didn't know what to expect, right? But I went because I was like, I need to figure out what's happening and if there's like a bigger issue. Guys, I'm from a family environment that whenever there is some sort of illness, instead of saying, okay, let's take this medicine for it, we always look for the root cause. Like, yeah, we'll take the meds, but we'll also be like, why did it happen to begin with? And so for me, that's what I was kind of expecting when I went to the derm. And I remember so clearly, I was sitting in that chair and the PI, she walks in and she's like, what's the issue? And I was like, well, I have this rash. And she was like, okay, so how long have you had it? Little did I know that when she asked me that, she literally just wanted to know, how long have I had it? But I went into this whole spiel about how, you know, I had just started the birth control pill like 5 months ago, which I think has something to do with it. And also, you know, I had been really stressed because my boss back in the day used to be a micromanager and was like stressing the F out of me. I'm like out here telling her all this and she's like, yeah, I don't care. I mean, she didn't say that obviously, but her expression was just like, shut up. So obviously she did not care for my story. So she gives me a cortisol cream. This is like a prescription steroid ointment. And she also gives me an antifungal. And I tell her, I'm like, I have used a steroid before and it did not work on me. Like I used the Corybomb and that's a steroid and it did not work for me. But she's like, oh, but that's over-the-counter steroid. It's not as strong. So I'm giving you a stronger one and it's gonna kick it out of your system. And I'm gonna give you this antifungal and it's gonna get rid of the cheilitis. And I'm like, okay, so how long should I use this for? She's like, oh, use it for 2 weeks. Come back later if it's still there. And I'm like, wow, okay, that's great. Next time I come back, I'll clearly have to pay her another copay and whatever. So I did what she told me. In a way, it wasn't like the worst thing because I was able to like enjoy my vacation. While I was at vacation, like my skin looked great, I felt great, until it was time to put down the steroid and the antifungal. Put those down, it comes back. Anyway, now I'm just like really annoyed because I'm like, why is this not gone yet? Like it has overstayed its welcome. It had been more than I think 3 months at that point. And so I went back to the derm. This time I actually saw the dermatologist because I requested to see the dermatologist. It's just kind of like, okay, well, why don't you just use the steroid for like a little bit longer? I'm like, how much longer? And he's like, use it maybe for two more weeks. And I was like, okay, you're the derm, you know like what's best. But a part of me also was just kind of like, let me like look into it more. So by the way, they did not diagnose me with perioral dermatitis. They said I had lip lickers dermatitis. You know how kids lick their lips a lot and they get a red like ring? And I was like, I'm a grown woman, like I do not lick my lips. I was like, that is not it, but like I didn't know what else to say because I mean, what do I know? So I started googling things and I was like, red rash around the mouth, and I saw perioral dermatitis pop up a lot, but I was like, there's no way I have perioral dermatitis because mine wasn't as like acne looking. I did run into this article though by Jessica DeFino, and she had titled the article, How Steroids Almost Ruined My Skin. I read that article, I was like, this lady has experienced the same crap as me. Still to this day, guys, I will thank Jessica for that article because if it were not for that article, I would have still probably be on steroids. Thank you, Jessica. So I go back to my derm, the same derm, and I'm like, hey, listen, I don't want to be on steroids anymore. I feel that they're not helping. I think they're making things worse. Every time I got off, they kept like, my skin just kept getting redder, drier, more inflamed, and it was just not fun. And if I find photos, I will put them somewhere around here just so you guys can see truly how bad it was. So he's like, fine, I'll prescribe you something else. And he prescribed me an immunosuppressant called tacrolimus, which is basically like kind of like protopic in a way. It's like the same thing. And what it does is that it suppresses something to do with your immune cells and like that's how it works. I thought it was like a good alternative to like, you know, using steroids, but apparently it's just as worse. I started using it, but again, every time I stopped using it, my rash came back. But I felt better because I was like, okay, it's not a steroid. But I also was getting tired of having to use it, and I also noticed that even though I was using it, my skin wasn't still back to normal. Like, it was still a little red. Like, you can't probably see it that well, but it was still red. Like I said, look at my old videos, you can see it. It was still slightly red, and it was really, really tight and dry. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want this. I want like my normal skin back. So I went back to the derm. This time I saw a different derm. She was supposed to be Manhattan's best dermatologist. She looks at me and she's like, okay, this could be contact dermatitis or perioral dermatitis. And I was like, what does that mean? And she gave me like an antibiotic cream and also told me to continue using tacrolimus. That's around when also the pandemic was starting, not having to go into work a lot, so I was more like bolder now. I was like, okay, I can experiment a little because I don't have to go to work. So she did give me those prescriptions, but I just didn't want to use them. Instead, I found a homeopath. I have never before this done natural medicine. I was not really familiar with how it works. I didn't know it would be like a long-term thing. I always thought it was going to be like a short, like 2 weeks and you're done thing. My homeopath, she gave me some remedies, she gave me some supplements, and she told me to start eating a certain way. Oh, and she told me to stop using the ointments and everything. I did that for like 2 weeks, guys, and I was the most miserable because I was pretty much going through withdrawal at that point. I didn't know too much about topical steroid withdrawal, and I didn't know what that was, so I just thought, wow, my skin is just really fucked up. And it was really hard for me and traumatizing for me to see my skin like that. On top of it, I was just in a lot of pain, guys. Like, it was just so painful. I'm gonna attach some photos if I can find them of how my skin looked like when I first stopped using all steroids and everything. I was still using moisturizers and stuff because I was like, my skin was just that dry. And I was trying the homeopathy, but it was just like not working, or maybe even if it was, I just didn't have the patience for it because it had been 2 weeks and I had seen no decrease in inflammation, and I think my skin was getting infected too. So around that time, I was home in Atlanta for the pandemic because everything had closed down and we were all quarantining, but I was able to actually squeeze in a dermatologist appointment right before everything shut down for good. And this time I saw a dermatologist back at home. I will say that out of all the dermatologists I saw, she was probably the kindest one who actually cared to listen to me. So I told her all that, aired my woes, and she listened, and she's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna reset your skin. I was like, what does that mean? She's like, you're gonna stop using everything. I was like literally I was shook. As long as I remember, I was like always had a skincare routine of some sort, so it was like really odd for me to hear that. But I was like willing to do anything, so I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I do think that was good advice because my skin was just so oversensitized from all the different prescriptions I had used and all the products that were recommended to me that I just really did need a reset. She also prescribed me an antibiotic, which I really wish I didn't take, but anyway, we'll talk more about that later. For the first few weeks that I was using nothing on my skin, I was absolutely miserable. It felt as if like literally my face was like shedding off skin every day. In the first week, honestly, it was hard for me to even open my mouth to eat because my skin was just so tight and dry. And it was just miserable. I probably had perioral dermatitis at one point, but after all the steroids I used, I definitely was going through topical steroid withdrawal. I stopped wearing contacts and started putting on my glasses because I didn't want to see my reflection when I went to the bathroom, so I would take my glasses off just so like my vision would be blurred and I wouldn't have to look at my face. Like, that's how bad it was. I finished my dose of antibiotics, but nothing had changed and I was still, you know, flaking and all that, and I had decided, you know what, I'm not gonna go to a dermatologist anymore. They all keep telling me the same thing. And that was probably the lowest because I had realized like nobody can help me. Around that time is when I somehow stumbled upon Chinese medicine. It kind of gave me hope because a lot of people who traditional dermatology didn't work for, they saw a TCM dermatologist and saw results. So I found this lady in California and we had a consultation, and she said that every 3 weeks she will send me herbs in the form of tea and I would drink those, and that's gonna help my skin. I was like desperate. I was willing to try anything and listen to anyone. It was really expensive too, guys. Like, getting those herbs shipped and like, you know, appointments with her, they were expensive, and I'm so glad I was living at home and not having to pay rent because There's no way I could have afforded that if I were still paying New York City rent. I probably like was with this lady for about 6 or 7 months, and even though my skin improved, now looking back on it, I don't think it improved because of her herbs. I think it was just because my topical steroid withdrawal, like eventually your skin will find balance again. Her herbs did not work for me. Around that time, I had also started doing more research and understanding holistic medicine more. I did start working with another practitioner. While she also kind of helped me a little bit, it was not the answer I was looking for. Then I found a coach online. Her name is Julia. I was also dealing with eczema by that point, by the way, as well. I found Julia because of my eczema, and she helped me get my confidence back. Like, she helped me figure out a diet plan. She helped me get past my food fear. So even though my skin wasn't 100% perfect, she was really game changing in my mindset. I'll link her Instagram below so you guys can check her out because she is amazing. So found another coach online. I didn't actually like work with her, but her name is Zoe. Makes really good content regarding perioral dermatitis, and she's very knowledgeable, so I will also link her down below. Obviously, as you guys can see, my skin is clear. I don't have PD anymore, and so I just want to sit back and talk about what actually worked for me. So when I was going through TSW, I will say that it did help not using any products because your skin is just so delicate at that time that anything can irritate it. So it did help not using a lot of products. However, I do wish I wasn't that scared of products because I did get this like trauma where I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to use any products, it'll fuck up my skin. So that was wrong, and I do wish I was okay with using like maybe light oil. So now if I ever do flare up, and I have had a flare up like once that was really bad, I used this. This is the Skin Smart antimicrobial. This product has HOCl, which is hypochlorous acid, and it's something that our white blood cells produce on their own to help the skin heal and fight off infection. So if you're somebody struggling with TSW, you might want to try this. I also saw that my skin, especially if it's really irritated, what works best for me just to keep it somewhat moisturized but like also just not overwhelm it, is to use the Aven thermal water spray. Spray that, and while my skin is still damp, just take some jojoba oil, rub it in your hands, and just pat it on your skin. It will keep your skin moisturized. Jojoba oil is the same structure as our own sebum, so it has a very low potential for irritation. Not many people get irritated by it. Another thing that really helped me and still continues to help me is red light therapy. I use the Loombox tool. Red light therapy, honestly, it has so many benefits with anti-inflammation as well as collagen production. So if you can afford one, I highly do recommend it because I do think it's gonna help you get through the healing process faster. So I was past my TSW, but I was still dealing with perioral dermatitis flares here and there, and I truly believe that ever since I added this into my regimen, I use it for 5 minutes daily every morning, I have significantly reduced flare-ups. I don't flare out that much anymore. I think one of the biggest things that I had to do was really focus on my gut health. I realized for me, like, it wasn't one thing that I was allergic to that was causing my rash. It was a whole collective. I do recommend working with somebody who can help you figure out your gut health and help make your gut stronger. It's a whole holistic approach, and maybe I'll make another video detailing more about leaky gut and all of that. My triggers personally are alcohol and sugar, so I do try to limit myself. I don't feel good drinking anyway, so it's like fine. I do a lot of natural sugars, but processed sugars definitely will break me out, whether it's PD or acne, so I do try to avoid those. In the end, ultimately making those changes for my health really helped me, and it was also a really big mindset shift too. It's not like a one and done kind of thing. You can't just take a supplement or put a cream on it and have it go away. Like, I had to take a holistic approach and, you know, focus and commit to my health and well-being for my rash to finally go away. There's a book by Phoebe Lapine, I think that's how you say her name. It's called The Wellness Project, where she also talks about her journey with perioral dermatitis and how she really had to take a step back and look at her overall health for her rash to go away. So I will link that also down below just so you guys can check it out. Just know that being healthy is not a sacrifice. Where guys, when I first heard that I had to give up certain foods, I was devastated. I was like, oh my god, you're telling me I can't eat McDonald's every day? Why would you want to? I was devastated. I was like, oh my god, I feel as if something's being taken away from me. But I really had to change my mindset. I was like, no, nothing is being taken taken away from me. It's just me prioritizing a healthier lifestyle. And I still have pizza, I still have ice cream. I just have to do it in moderation. Don't feel intimidated. See it as a journey, and it will be amazing because you're not only gonna have clear skin, you're gonna have better energy levels, you're gonna be more fit. Life is just gonna be so much better, guys. I'm telling you. So don't be shy of making these changes. That's what's gonna get you long-term results. Currently, I am eating a clean diet that is very well balanced. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll see my meal plans and all of that. I still use clean beauty products, whether it's makeup or skincare. My current skincare routine is pretty simple. I wash my face with the Vani Cream Facial Cleanser. For toner, I use the Quinn's Witch Hazel. This is super hydrating, and while my skin is still damp from it, I use squalene oil over it just to moisturize. And then for sunscreens, I like both of these. This is the Solera Time Traveler, and this is the Carrie Grand Essential SPF. Both of them are amazing. And then for my lips, I use Powerful Skin Compound. This is actually really good at keeping your PD at bay. So clean diet, clean skincare, red light therapy, walking, de-stressing, being in tune with my body has really helped me maintain clear, healthy skin. And you can get there too. All you need is patience, and you need to believe that you are able to heal from within. So there you go, guys. I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you some insights. Please feel free to comment down below if you have any questions and if you want me to cover some topic in more detail. I know this was a long video, but I still feel like I didn't cover that much. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below to show your support. It means a lot to me. And also check out my Instagram and TikTok for more content on skin and just living healthy and all of that. So glad to be back, and I will see you hopefully in my next video soon. Bye!